I'm Kate, a 40-year-old woman who balances a part-time job and household chores. I live with my husband Ted, who's 2 years my senior, and our cherished cat. We've been married for a good 15 years now. If you ask me whether I've been completely content with our marriage, I can't exactly say that I have. One of the reasons is our unfulfilled wish for a child. Another reason? Ted, despite his modest paycheck, hardly lifts a finger to help around the house, preferring to laze about whenever he gets a day off. What's more, Ted has always been a bit of a mama's boy. Even in his 40s, he's always eager to visit his mom, who lives nearby. She's been lonely since Dad passed away. But I know that his mom isn't that frail. She's got quite the nasty streak and lacks any semblance of refinement. Listen to this! The other day, I was standing in line at the grocery store and I accidentally let out a fart. And it was so loud! I was so embarrassed that I turned around and blamed the person behind me for it. My mother-in-law laughed as she shared her shopping experience. Listening to her, Ted, my husband, was also laughing. But I was completely grossed out. I couldn't believe that such a vulgar woman was my mother-in-law. She has such an unpleasant character that she has very few friends, and it seems like her only hobby is bullying her daughter-in-law. I wouldn't mind going to my in-laws' house if I got along with my mother-in-law, but I bet no daughter-in-law would want to get close to a mother-in-law with such a character. Even the couple who used to live in the same house with her, Ted's older brother and his wife, Rose, couldn't stand her and ran away. I guess it's no wonder. What kind of punishment would it be to live with such a mother-in-law? Especially after Ted's brother Ron passed away. Despite being a patient and tolerant person, unlike me, even Rose couldn't stand her and ran away. I wonder how much she was bullied. Rose wanted to be as far away as possible, but her slightly mollycoddled husband didn't want to move far away, so now the three families are living separately, but closely spaced. Are all brothers mama's boys? I wonder what's so good about a mother-in-law like that. Even if I had to live with such a mother-in-law, I could bear it if it was a separate household. I received a request to live together from her, but I vowed to myself that I would absolutely prevent it if by any chance. However, the other day, when I was summoned to my in-laws' house by her, the ruckus about living together finally occurred. I've been thinking about it, and I think it's time for us to live together. When can you guys move in? Just when I thought she gathered both couples to say something, she suddenly started talking about living together. What's more, she talks as if it's already decided that we're going to live together, and even jumps to discussing the timing of moving in. I was flabbergasted. Huh? Wait a minute, I don't want to live together. I've seen how much trouble Rose went through, and I don't want to go through the same. I'm not asking you. I'm asking Ted, she retorted, disregarding my firm refusal to live together. Even though I would be involved if we were to live together, my intentions were completely ignored. Well, I don't mind living together. Even when it comes to taking care of Mom in the future, it would be easier for Kate to do it if we're living together, wouldn't it? To my disbelief, Ted agreed to live together, even assuming that I would be the one taking care of her in the future. Caregiving? Me? You must be joking. Are you seriously asking me to take care of you after all the bullying you've done to Rose and me? I retorted incredulously, to which she made a dissatisfied face. Oh dear, that sounds bad. I was just educating you a little as a senior housewife. Education? Is she really the one to talk about education? I thought to myself. Anyway, I don't want to live together or take care of you. If you insist on living together, I'll get a divorce, I declared firmly, causing Ted to panic. Whoa, wait! Talking about divorce over something like this is a bit over the top. Over the top? Trying to force me into living together and caregiving without considering my feelings is a legitimate reason for divorce. I have a job and a stable income, so I won't have any problem even if I get divorced, I retorted, leaving Ted speechless. Well, if Kate really doesn't want to, then I guess we have no choice but to ask you, brother, and Rose to come back, she said, causing Rose to panic next. No! I can't live with my mother-in-law again. It would ruin my mental health. Absolutely not. However, this time, her husband tried to calm her down. Calm down, Rose. Yes, Mom might have been a bit hard on you before, but she was doing it for your sake. She's regretted it too. Regret? I can't see any sign of her regretting anything at all. That's right! You never talk back no matter what I say, so there's no excitement for me either. It's difficult when a daughter-in-law is too straight personality like Kate, but it's also difficult when she doesn't say anything. That's right. You also have things to reflect on, don't you? What? At the unexpected comment from her brother-in-law, Rose was at a loss for words. I, standing next to her, was also stunned and speechless. Besides, Rose has always been a stay-at-home mom. If you divorce, you'll struggle financially right away. You're not working like Kate, brother-in-law said, which encouraged the mother-in-law to join in. That's true, Rose. If you keep being selfish, your husband will leave you. If a woman with neither good looks nor a good figure gets dumped, all she can do is end up on the street. Where exactly is this mother-in-law showing remorse? I seriously wondered. The mother-in-law seemed to be getting more and more carried away. Rose used to be cute when she was young. Now she's gained quite a bit of weight. It reminds me. Oh yeah, you heard about the news of the big seals at the zoo? Seals? I would like to see it. Brother-in-law even started to laugh. Oh, that's awful. Are you suggesting I'm like a seal? Tears welled up in Rose's eyes. I was flustered, trying to comfort her, but the mother-in-law and brother-in-law didn't stop. No, that's just a paranoid delusion. I was just talking about the big seals coming to the zoo. Right, brother-in-law? Seals wave their flippers and make a ho-ho sound, don't they? Ho-ho, it's a perfect imitation. Incredibly, brother-in-law and the mother-in-law started imitating a seal, flapping their hands at their sides. Stop it, please! Are you guys out of your minds? As I exclaimed in surprise, Rose burst into tears and stormed out of the house. I got up to follow her, shouting at the mother-in-law. How can you people be so inconsiderate and rude? No wonder Rose and I don't want to live with you. Ted then spat out. You're all high and mighty because you work, but you're just a woman trying to live on her own. You'll end up on the streets just like Rose. Don't think of threatening divorce. You'll regret it. His words hit a sore spot. Indeed, although I was in a more advantageous position than Rose, the fact that I couldn't easily say, fine, let's divorce, was also true. At any rate, I absolutely refuse to live together. I said that and stormed out of the in-laws' house. I wanted to find Rose and comfort her. After searching around town for a while, I found Rose trudging along. Rose. Kate. When Rose turned around, her face was a mess from crying. I somehow calmed Rose down and entered a nearby cafe. I can't stand it anymore. I've always been bullied by my mother-in-law and he never helps me. I agreed with her. Yeah, I guess. Both brother-in-law and Ted are such mama's boys. I sighed. It's not just the bullying from my mother-in-law. I can't stand his cheating anymore. Even my mother-in-law is helping him cheat. Suddenly, this topic came up, and I was taken aback. Wait a minute. Brother-in-law is cheating? And the mother-in-law is helping? Didn't you know? He's been cheating for a while. He says he's going to see his mother, but actually he's on a date with his mistress, and his mother is helping him create an alibi, even though she knows what's going on. Rose poured out her feelings, crying all the while. I sympathized deeply with Rose, shocked. She is bullied by her mother-in-law, cheated on by her husband. What a pitiful woman she is. It's no wonder you're upset. It's heartbreaking. But why do you put up with it? Even if you're worried about living alone, you don't have to endure that much. I intended to encourage Rose, but Rose looked up and stared at me with a puzzled look. Why am I putting up with it? That's because I thought you are too. Huh? Then Rose began to tell me an astonishing story. After hearing everything, Rose and I decided to team up and take revenge on the in-laws. Every one of them in that house is an outrageous bunch. There's no reason for Rose and I, the two wives, to be ridiculed and stay silent. We will pay them back double for the humiliation we've suffered, and knock them down. And that happened a month after Rose and I made that resolve. Our mother-in-law had once again summoned us to gather. Quietly, Rose and I prepared without telling our husbands. It was a perfect opportunity. With resolve, we headed for our husband's family home. "I'm really going to need one of you to live with me!" Our mother-in-law broached the topic of cohabitation again. "After all, I'm getting old, and you girls will need to take care of me eventually. Consider it practice." Rose spoke up before I could. "I won't do it. I absolutely refuse to live here. If that becomes the condition, I will get a divorce." Her tone was different this time, more decisive, which seemed to take our mother-in-law by surprise. "Don't be ridiculous. What about you, Kate?" Now it was my turn, huh? I responded. "So basically, you want us to live with you because you want us to take care of you, correct?" "Well, yes, that's part of it. But I also don't want to be alone. I want to live with one of my sons." When neither Rose nor I agreed, our mother-in-law began to grow impatient. "Really? Can't you girls understand a simple request? This isn't a request. It's an order! Live with your husband here!" Rose and I exchanged a look and nodded. We refuse. Perhaps this person could do it instead. I then spread a handful of photos across the table. What is this?" Brother-in-law and Ted gasped. You see, those photos were evidence that brother-in-law and Ted were both having affairs. Pictures of them entering hotels with women, kissing in the shadows of telephone poles. "So you two have been cheating together. Such good brothers, and it seems our mother-in-law knew about it, and yet she helped you guys create alibis, and now after all that, you dare to ask us to live and care for you? How shameless." Rose nodded along at my side. "If you need someone to care for you, ask these women in the photos. We're going to divorce, so we won't live or care for you." "But that's a problem!" Our mother-in-law stuttered. "A problem? We have no problems at all. Right, Rose?" Rose grinned. "If you divorce, you'll be the one with problems. There's no way a housewife like you can survive on your own." Brother-in-law raged. Was he trying to mimic a sea lion again, like he did a month ago? Not this time. "The threat of divorce is just a bluff." Rose responded with a clear face. "Oh, I won't have any issues. I plan to take a substantial amount of compensation from you." "What?" "I also intend to demand compensation from your mistress. I should be able to rent a small apartment and re-establish my life with that. I'll have to find a job, of course, but I'm determined to make it on my own." "I'll help you, Rose." We, two women, decided to support each other and overcome the situation. If I use my personal savings, I can manage to live for the time being. Once Rose squeezes compensation from her husband and his mistress, I've arranged for her to repay me with a little interest. We have to squeeze money out of these two, no matter what. "Oh, Ted, I also plan to demand compensation from you and your mistress. Even though I work, money is never enough for a divorcee in her 40s. I declared to Ted, who clung to me. "I'm sorry! It was just a fling. I wasn't serious." Whether you were serious or not, an affair is an affair. I've already consulted with a lawyer, so please make your excuses to them. I handed Ted and brother-in-law business cards of a lawyer's office. The lawyer on the card was the same for both. We both hired a lawyer at the same time and managed to get a small discount on the retainer. A sort of bundle deal, you might say. A clever trick worthy of a wise housewife. "Hold on! Let's talk this out! Please, not a divorce. I apologize. See? I'm begging you!" Ted and my brother-in-law both knelt and apologized on the spot. But my mother-in-law got even angrier and started shouting. "Well, if you're going to divorce, just do it! Can't stand a little infidelity from your husband! I don't need such an intolerant daughter-in-law!" Then Rose laughed. All of a sudden, she looked so confident. After all, a woman becomes strong with a bang. Mother-in-law, you're quite tolerant of infidelity, aren't you? Could it be because you've been in the same boat? My mother-in-law was taken aback. What are you talking about all of a sudden? Didn't you cheat back in the day? That's what I heard from the neighbors, with a part-time student from Ted's swim club. What on earth is going on with your family's DNA? I know that your late husband was so diligent, but... Who told you such nonsense? Who knows? Maybe you should ask around. Well, we're going to go pack up our things. Rose and I stood up simultaneously, and with a bright smile, we said, "Please, enjoy your time." Ha ha ha! After that, Rose and I each went back to our homes, gathered our pre-packed belongings, and left. We'd already rented an apartment, so we met up there. We received numerous calls from Ted and my brother-in-law on our mobile phones, but we ignored them all and left everything to our lawyer. After a while, our double divorce was finalized, and we got our alimony. My mother-in-law's plan to have her daughter-in-law take care of her was foiled, and she had to rely on her 2 sons. Apparently, there's now a quarrel between my brother-in-law and Ted over who has to take care of her. Come back! It was my fault. Let's start over. I'll be waiting for you at the restaurant where we used to go to on dates. Such Romeo emails from my brother-in-law and Ted kept arriving on Rose's and my phones. Every night after work, we would read these emails, have a drink, and laugh at our ex-spouses. Hey Rose, do you know which restaurant he's talking about? I'm not sure. The restaurant where we used to date has been demolished, so I wonder where he's waiting. For a while, it was just the 2 of us and the cat. When Rose found a job, she moved out of the apartment. We escaped from that toxic family together. We hope to keep in touch and support each other in the future. As I pet my beloved cat and drink my coffee, I'm enjoying my peaceful life.